there is like a a common opinion in Islam that music musical instruments are haram. Um, I don't take any side because I'm not a scholar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I haven't like people will say like, oh, like I know, but really they just Google searched,
Right.
and I haven't sat down with ulama. I haven't studied the hadith
Mm-hmm.
sciences. I know everybody has their own opinion, and I have my own. But what is yours on that?
So that's a very interesting question. It's very loaded because a lot of these. Why you got a flower pot in here, Muhammad? That belongs in the garden. Actually, let me go put that away.
Yeah, that's a clip. All right, welcome back to Harry Man Talks. I'm your host, Harry Man. Today I have a very special guest, man. This is a one of a kind episode we have here. We have Shabani Films in the background directing.
Bonnie.
We have Shmoney Mo.
Yes, sir.
He's an artist, entrepreneur, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, can I call you Muhammad?
Yes, you can.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Alaikum assalam, fam.
This guy's a fellow Muslim, bro.
Amen.
So this is gonna be a great episode, man. When I met you, like maybe it was 6 months ago at MCC, the masjid, there was something about your energy, like it was just like extroverted, outgoing, and like we were talking about it earlier. But like me growing up, I kind of didn't like those type of people because it was my own insecurity, like I was very introverted. And then, just meeting you and then being at a different stage in my life, I'm empathizing with people. I'm trying to understand where they're coming from. I was like, yo, this he's outgoing, he's extroverted, but he's genuine. Like, he actually cares. Like, he looks at me like, yo, how are you? Very similar to a guy I met in the masjid, Muhammad Bishawi.
Oh yeah, I love
Yeah, I
Bashawi.
love it. Shout out, Muhammad. Come on, bro.
Bashawi.
Come on the podcast. But yeah, man, I wanted to know, like, where did this energy and come from? Like, is your upbringing, like, how were you raised? Like,
Honestly, I wasn't always this way. I feel like my personality now definitely is due to my experiences more so. My mom would tell you as a kid I was very quiet, just I was that kid to just listen, be quiet, be reserved. I think around middle school was when I really started experiencing bullying a lot, going to school in the city. And, I think in retrospect, it was probably the best thing that happened to me because it built character. Um, it made me learn, you don't have to be quiet. You don't have to reserve yourself to make others feel good about themselves. You don't have to limit yourself. So I underwent a period in high school where I was trying to get out of my shell, talk to more people. And then eventually, especially with music, I learned how to use my voice. And I think that's one of my strengths is my voice, whatever I use it for.
what'd you get bullied for?
I mean, you get kids are something else.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, anything. Like being black, being from an immigrant family, my family's from Sudan, being Muslim, being skinny, short. But I mean, you know, I learned that stuff was a vital part of my upbringing. It taught me how to learn, you don't have to care what everyone thinks about you. And even more so once I started to get out of my box and speak more with tone and depth, I noticed that some people who weren't so much used to that from me were kind of turned off by it. But it's not for them, it's for me.
Yeah,
And it's for the people around me who appreciate it.
that's amazing, bro. Yeah, that's a big lesson I had to learn. Uh, Stop caring what other people think about you. Uh, and like, what age did you learn this? Because that's very young. Like,
I mean, it was in development for a long time. I'd say between eighth grade and senior year of high school. So I graduated high school in 2019. I started in 2015. So in between that range is really when I mean, not only was I going through puberty, but I was also just learning how to be comfortable in my skin.
mashallah. And then, what got you into like the music? Like,
So the music scene. So I remember one of my neighbors, his name is Rich Karshi, if you're watching this. Faisal Karshi. Shout out Faisal Karshi. we had sessions in one of his friends' houses, and they had a microphone, they had headphones, we had Logic Pro, GarageBand, and we had a friend who made some beats, and it was kind of fun. I remember the first song I ever heard by him was called Waterbender, and he was making jokes about being a waterbender. So I heard that song on SoundCloud, and I was like, bro, I need to hop on that remix. Yeah. So I hopped on the remix. I've always had a thing for writing, but that's really when it was just started for fun, really.
You said this was high school? Around.
Yeah, I'd say like 10th grade, the summer of 10th grade. And in time, I grew to love creating, and it just turned out that music was the medium that I used to create. Some people I know use visual art, some people do photography, videography, etc. And for me, it was music and rap.
Yeah, if I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at notes.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So now you're in college and you're going deeper into the music. Talk to me about this album that's coming out, Intuition. Why the name? Because I'm a fellow artist. We could talk about that later. But every time I would make a project, there was always, and this is for a lot of artists, there's like a meaning behind the name, the concept. Like, what is Intuition?
So actually, I'm wearing all my music stuff on me right now. So the first project I released was called Mo Power, and that was really about self-empowerment and about getting out of my shell, being confident in myself. Then I dropped another project called Overdrive, the caution signs all over me. So Overdrive was like, okay, I'm on now, so now I'm just gonna talk my ish, I'm gonna pop myself, I'm gonna make myself be known, work really hard. That was like the theme of Overdrive. And then, the music I had originally released, it wasn't very tasteful, and it got to a point where, little kids would come around and listen to my music. I never thought like, yeah, and they'd listen to my songs, and they just be cussing, and I'd be like, whoa, yeah. I'd be like, I need to get rid of that stuff. Yeah. So shout out my mom, she really helped me make that decision. But I deleted those two projects, and it wasn't a waste. I'd say it really helped with formulating my art, getting better at recording and writing. So eventually, my mom told me, she was like, if you're really a great artist, you can come up with a way to make great music without using bad words. So that's really, Intuition was just like the last 2 years. I didn't drop any albums. The only single I really released was Stand for Justice, which is for the Sudan Revolution. And that was among one of my best performing songs, not even like streams wise, but we posted the YouTube video. It was in circulation overseas in Sudan, and because it was so powerful and it had a real message, that's why it resonated with so many people. So I was like, so what is my internal spirit trying to tell me here? Like, intuition is your guiding spirit, right? Just that feeling inside of you. Like, shout out Shabani, his intuition told him, I don't know why, but I'm gonna bring this lavalier mic, even though I'm not really shooting. Just like that gut feeling, right? That's telling you, it might not even be logical. It might just be like, I don't feel safe here, or this is what I'm gonna do. So I've been trying to follow that good conscience, you could call it, and it's led me to a lot of good places recently. And this Friday, Intuition is dropping 7 tracks, all clean, wholesome music, and it's a banger. And the theme of the album is healing, guidance, and just enjoying yourself, enjoying your life.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, check it out. Intuition. I wanted to bring it back to the Sudan track, Stand for Justice. To be honest, I heard the song, great song, mashallah, but can you explain to the audience and myself what's going on in Sudan?
Right. So I don't know about everything going on politically, but to give you a brief glimpse, there was a coup in 2018, 2019.
What is that?
Coup d'etat. It's a French term, I believe. It basically means to overthrow or overturn a government. So there was a long-standing dictator, Omar al-Bashir. He was in reign for about 30 years, 35 years, very long time. And then over time, the country got really unstable to the point where there was a military coup. So he was ousted. He is no longer the dictator. And now there's a power vacuum in Sudan. All these dictators are actively trying to seize that throne. And I'd say, if you ask me, it started with British occupation. And a lot of the times when the British or the French or whoever, the Dutch, colonize these African countries, they leave once they've gotten everything they wanted, and that just creates a power vacuum. So Sudan's always been in this power struggle and it's recently been cropping up. There's a lot of corruption. It's unstable. Money's unstable. There's violence. There's massacres, and unfortunately, it hasn't been covered as much. You look at stuff that's happening in Ukraine, and while those people definitely deserve coverage, I feel like it's a double standard because they're not talking about Palestine. They're not talking about the Uyghurs in China. They're definitely not talking about black African Muslims in Sudan. So that was me trying to use my voice to stand up for something that actually means something.
That's amazing. And you said like the people in Sudan like reached out like, yo, thank you for this. Like, did you get a lot of messages? Like,
Yeah, most of them were my family. I mean, it's crazy. Like my grandpa was texting me, my cousins, this, that, and the third, these people, and most of the YouTube views are from people in Sudan, which is crazy. They don't listen on Spotify or Apple Music. Some people might know about Anghami. If you're Arab, you might know Anghami. But yeah, they were showing love on YouTube, and that's really what got me inspired to make more meaningful music.
that's awesome. So there is like a a common opinion in Islam that music musical instruments are haram. Um, I don't take any side because I'm not a scholar. I don't know. I haven't like people will say like, oh, like I know, but really they just Google searched,
Right.
and I haven't sat down with ulama. I haven't studied the hadith
Hmm.
sciences. I know everybody has their own opinion, and I have my own. But what is yours on that?
So that's a very interesting question. It's very loaded because a lot of these. Oh, the microphone fell. Can you pick me up now? Yeah. Shout out Shabani. What would I do without you, man? Here, let's try to put that back on. So yeah, the question of music has always been something I've only recently delved into it because growing up, music is embedded into African culture. At weddings, celebrations, someone gets a new house, um, even on Eid, they're like banging drums or what have you. So growing up, I was never fed the narrative that it was just forbidden, period. Um, and my parents being very religious, especially my mom, I feel like if it was a serious problem, she would have stopped me dead in my tracks. Whereas then I came to learn, once I went to college and I meet other people, Muslims from different races, corners of the world, they followed opinions that some of them followed opinions that music was impermissible altogether. So this was something new to me that I was like, what? Like, am I doing something wrong? So there was a period where I didn't release anything, and really the biggest reason why I chose to delete the explicit music was because of that. So after a lot of reading and comparing different opinions, I asked several imams, and the imams that I asked, they redirected me to the influence that the music has on you. So most of the time, when you see music or you hear music, especially in modern times, like you think about the club, think about the festivals, you think about, I mean, even in Harris Teeter, like Harris Teeter has alcohol, Food Line has alcohol, every place has alcohol. So in those environments where music is paired with alcohol, it can influence a lot of people to do things that are sexual. It may cause them to dance with each other and intermix. So the position that I've taken now is, what influence does the music have on you, right? So for example, when I do homework, I'll listen to like lo-fi or like Beethoven or like no words even. Uh, that doesn't really have an influence on me that makes me want to commit any sin. I know people are different. But you look at the music industry, right? The A-list music industry, and a lot of it is very negative, demonic influence. I mean, you could just hear by the stuff they're saying. And that's why I've tried to take a step back and create something that's meaningful to me, but also uplifting. So with Stand for Justice, for example, I use authentic Sudanese instruments. And when people heard that song, it didn't make them want to go to the club or drink or smoke or intermix and dance. It was more so empowering and uplifting. So recently, that's what I've been trying to take away from the music is, okay, let me only create something that does good to people, that influences them to do good. And at the end of the day, it's always better, of course, to listen to the Quran or listen to something meaningful. A lot of the music I had made in past times was kind of like just like filler. Like, oh, I'm gonna make this rap because it sounds good, but like, is it really giving anything to the listener? So That's more so my opinion. But it is a very finicky topic. It's I really wish, especially as clear as Islam is about so many things,
Yeah.
you would think that there would be a hard, you know, no. Like no one's asking, oh, well, is alcohol okay? Because it's not.
Yeah.
It's explicitly stated. Um, so yeah, and I'm still researching, learning every day, but
Yeah.
even with the music that I consume that isn't my own, I've had to cut off a lot of the artists that I used to listen to just because you start to notice, okay, some of this music does have a bad influence
It
on you.
affects you like you are what you hear and
Right.
watch, right? So
Yep.
yeah,
Precisely.
yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, no, you're good. That's really all I had to say about that. But alhamdulillah, I found a way to make my music inspiring and uplifting to people. Whenever it is that I want to go start performing, I don't want to be in an environment that's like a club environment. I don't do walkthroughs, I don't do Oktoberfest festivals or anything like that. More so, a tasteful environment, uh, or even spoken word, just using my voice, period, in a good setting.
Hey man, you haven't sold your soul, so
Never will.
yeah,
You can't.
yeah. Don't be like the baby. Did you see like there was like a video of him? I haven't listened to him in a long time, but there was a video like he was on a cross, and he was having people throw stones at him.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know what
at
you're
a
talking
performance,
about. No
at a
way.
concert.
I
Yeah,
was not aware.
yeah. There's a lot of
Wow.
weird things going on. There's Doja Cat was like dressed as
Yeah.
a devil.
I saw like the weekend.
Yeah.
I saw like clips of like his concert and like subliminal messages with flash in the back, and I'm like, why? Like, and people are like, they don't even seem to care. So yeah.
I try not to listen to too many artists that curse, but J. Cole is one of my favorite artists.
Same here.
And you could just like hear in some of his songs, like the song he had with Dirk,
Yeah.
like he's he's very introspective. He's looking at, he's digging deeper into life and the meaning of life in his
Yep.
songs, and it's really powerful. And I've noticed that recently, even though he has some tracks where it says some random degenerate stuff, you can tell he wants to find true purpose, true guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, who do you mainly listen to?
Well, I would say just that J. Cole, North Carolina native, and I agree. I'd say some of his more recent work, especially, he's very big on storytelling. He's very big on like what I love about albums, because I'm an album artist. Every time you create an album, you're reinventing yourself. Like this is the newest version of me. I was really a big fan of the off season. I just love his rap. Like I think he has a very good skill at not only storytelling but also enunciating himself, and as opposed to the artists in the industry who aren't really talking about too much. That's what I like. I like that underlying message. I'd say one of my favorite tracks by him recently is False Prophets. That's really a banger for me.
It didn't come out recently.
Oh yeah, well, recently I've been listening to it in rotation. That and High for Hours as well. He's talking about, what's going on in America, the black community, talking to the president. Yeah, so.
And shout out J. Cole. Come on the podcast.
Yeah, shout out J. Cole, man. We need you here.
Inshallah. We'll give you some dawah. But yeah, initially also what drew me to you was when I found out you were an artist, because I relate heavy. I did music from, I started rapping in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. And like I don't really tell people that anymore because a lot of my music was degenerate. And that's kind of why I stepped away. I made a whole video on it, like for my own reasons why I left the music scene, because I also recorded artist music videos, and I was just around a lot of degenerate activity.
Yeah.
And I just became that.
Right.
Like, so when I came closer to the deen, I kind of cut everything off, and I started, what you're doing, like looking at different hadiths, and I was like, I want to take like a better approach to this. And I chose to step away from music just because it was like a time in my life where I was graduated college, looking for a job. But I still come back and I write. I love writing.
Yep.
And like I'll play, like sometimes I would go hit up my audio engineer and just record. And I just have songs in the vault. Like, and you can just tell, like, okay, this guy has evolved. I don't want to I can play it for you, some of the songs, but I'm not going to put it out. I'm not there yet. but yeah, like I related to you heavy, and then especially with the dean, like you gave mashallah a great speech on the nafs. I learned a lot. Um, so like what about the dean? Like when did you like come closer to the dean?
These are some great questions, man. Shout out her, man, for this, making me really dig deep. So I was born Muslim, but I still had to find Islam. You know, something that I notice about a lot of reverts is that they're so hungry for the religion that their practice of the religion is better than a lot of people who you would say are born Muslim. But that, everyone, like I said, has to find peace, has to find Islam, their connection with God. So I don't know, I'd say as a teenager, it was really like on and off. Like I always knew that there was some higher power, but I didn't know logistically what that meant in my day to day life, or like, I was kind of just in the simulation, like, and I think getting older and really just learning from experience, learning with people, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't ever put myself in that situation again, or maybe I shouldn't be around these people. And you start thinking about why, right? That's just the big question is why. Um, I think there's a popular saying that says science can tell you how, but not why.
Yeah.
So like we know how things happen, but why is it that way, right? And why is it that there are certain things inside of us that just tell us right from wrong? So my personal journey, I was around the wrong people for a very long time, and I very much relate to what you were saying about shooting content with these people, and you are the people who you hang around. So when my life wasn't going a direction that I was really proud of, I had to take that step back and figure out, okay, what do I want? Okay, are these people going to help me? No. Then why am I around them? Why am I around them? Right? And then naturally, when you get rid of something bad for the sake of God, then God will replace it with something better. So I don't know, and just like I could sit back and think about a ton of moments that I'm just like, oh my God, like there is a creator.
Mm.
I'm sure everyone's had some sort of existential experience like that. And
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Sometimes I just look at myself. I'm like, I'm really here.
Right.
Like I am a human. Like you know what I mean? Like I could have been a tree. I could have been a rock. But no, I'm this flesh life form.
You ever have like what's it called? I don't know what the word is, but like you're driving and you're like, yo, is this real life?
Yes,
Like,
all the time, bro. Yeah, especially when I go autopilot when I'm driving.
yeah,
And I'm just like, how'd I get home?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Like, when did you meet the Baraka Bros? Everyone, it's like 6 8 months ago, right?
I wow, I have to think about that one. I think it was a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think it was a year ago. So that was right around the period when I was searching for Muslim Brotherhood, like really searching for it, because the places that I would frequent with friends that I grew up with, it wasn't really aligned to where I wanted to go in life. And it's no hard feelings against any particular group of people, but it's more so caring about myself and putting myself first. I think you should always do that, and it's not selfish. It's just taking care of yourself, right? So yeah, I was looking for activities, a group of people, strong male figures, and I found that, at the mosque Friday night. Friday night halal moves, man.
Yeah,
Like,
come out if you're in Charlotte.
alhamdulillah, yeah, bro. MCC, Baraka Bros, Friday nights after Maghrib prayer, like really solid people. Some of them younger than me. I'm 22. Some of them married, have kids, 30, 30 years old. I'm just like, yeah.
Like I was when I started practicing the Deen, I was like alone. I had one friend, but I would only see him once a week, or but it was like didn't have a group of brothers that were like, following the Huck.
Yeah.
And I always talk about this. Like I talked to a person of knowledge, and they said like you can do it alone, but it's gonna be hard. It's
Yeah.
better to like have a group of brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year passes, and I see Yazid post like a story of him at MCC. I'm like, yo, like let me come by,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest is history. And then it was beautiful because Rizwan was there at MEC that night,
Right.
and I did. Were you the one that asked the question? Like,
How'd you find a community?
yeah. Sorry, the light is blinding. Yeah, you said how do you find a community? And I was sitting there and I was like, whoever this brother is, he's about to meet us. And I was like, yo, like Mansoor was there, and I believe you were there,
Yep.
Mu'min, and Vedat, and I think Abdulillah. And I was like, yo, this is it. The group is big, but like it doesn't even matter if it's like 10 of us or 4 of us. Like the people there are so genuine that
Right.
you can see the nur on their face. Like, man,
Squad.
start crying.
Squad, man. I love those people.
Yeah,
Welcome to the gang, bro.
yeah, man.
Rizwan.
There was Rizwan. There was a brother. Marwan.
Yeah.
Like he was with us for a year. When we first started the group. When we first started the group, it was like Mansoor. It was Mansoor, Obeda, and Yazid were like the main ones, and a couple other guys, and it was just them. And then me, and then Muhammad came along, and Mu'min, and then this guy was there in the beginning too. His name is Marwan. Like big shout out Marwan if you're watching. I'm gonna send this to you. He's like a big jack dude, mashallah, and then he's like I think he's going into medical school, right? Or he's residency.
Can't remember.
I think he's doing residency. So he's with us for a year, and then he's like, okay, I have to move. I have to, move some another state for residency, and he's like the last day he was there, it got emotional. Like it was like, yo, he was like, I haven't met brothers like you. Like this is like once in a lifetime thing. Like you don't meet people like this, and like everybody got emotional. I was like, man, we've only known him for a year. Like, man, it was beautiful. But yeah, sorry, your podcast.
Nah, you're good, man. You got me
Um,
thinking.
I only had a few more topics, and we could talk about whatever. So what's next for Shmoney?
All right. What's next for Shmoney Mo? So, album drop, album promotion. The music industry has changed a lot. So, I'm really trying to just adapt. You know, all businesses are adapting actually. It's not even just music industry. It's just like how do you get your brand out there? It used to be YouTube videos. It used to be Facebook ads. It used to be just posting your cover art on Instagram out now. And that's all it took to get tens, 20, 30, 100,000 streams. And now it's like people's attention spans have just and my explanation to that is the way short form content has taken over, right? So we're trying to leverage that, leverage the new market. I'm getting more into video. But what's next for Shmoney Mo? I'd say, it's not even just music at this point. I want to be a speaker. I say my voice is a strong suit. You know, I've hosted a lot of events. I emceed TEDx at NC State. That was a blast. And it was at that moment that I realized I'm like, I'm not just an artist. Like, I'm a voice. So that's really what I want to curate. I really want to focus on one thing and just be amazing at it before I branch out into anything else. But
The next Ahi Amen.
my man.
Bro, no, like, I think you would do great in like Dawa and speaking to youth, because like
Yeah.
you're young, you resonate with the youth, and even with your music, like I think mashallah, like you do a good job.
Jazakallah khair, fam. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, any other questions, topics?
Well, what did you said? You said you studied business and marketing?
I studied marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that funnel into what you're doing with Harry, man? I want to know some of that.
Nothing.
Nothing?
Yeah. I chose marketing because I didn't know what I wanted to do,
Okay.
and I was making music at the time. I didn't really take college serious. I didn't even want to go. My parents were like, go to college, and I was being an idiot, like just didn't have a plan. I had my video business, so I was doing music videos. I was like well known in the city.
Yep.
Um, if you were starting rapping back then in like 2019 to 2021, you knew me. And it was crazy because I'm not even saying that in a braggadocious or arrogant way, but like
You was in the scene.
I was in the scene. I knew all the studios. I did shoots for pretty much majority of local artists,
Yeah.
and but the thing was like my soul was gone,
Yeah.
because I was giving everything to something that I was neglecting the deen, right? I was
Right.
neglecting my creator, and I had never delved into. I was born Muslim, but I never really delved into the purpose of life. So it was like 2020. I'm graduating college, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I'm just going to the studio, recording music, doing DoorDash, and living like a sinful life. And then it's COVID time, and then you see like all these news, people dying, which I could get into, like
Right.
that's a whole other topic. But I was just thinking to myself, like, yo, if I died right now, like, where am I going? Like, do I believe in heaven or hell? Like,
Right.
would I go to hell? Like, and then I had a couple family members check me, and that also like, so I was like, I'm gonna change my life. I'm gonna just try to study the Deen. And it honestly started with, because I'm YouTube head. I've been watching YouTube since I was a kid.
Yep.
So it was YouTube videos,
Mhm.
Islam, like stories of the prophets, Muslim atheist debate, Muslim Christian debate.
Mhm.
And there was one video that there's a speaker. He lives in UK. I don't know if you heard of him. Hamza Zortis. He's like Muhammad Hijab. You know Muhammad Hijab?
Yeah.
He's like his mentor.
Oh wow. Okay.
So he's like a Greek brother, revert. Used to be like Catholic, or something, and he has a video called "The Purpose of Life," and that just changed everything. He talks about like I've said it in a podcast before, but it's like a beautiful analogy. Like he talks about like, imagine you woke up in a plane, and you have to answer 3 questions. Like I might be butchering it, but like, how did I get here? What am I doing here, and where am I going? So that's kind of what this life is. Like, aside from like, okay, you came from your mother's womb, what about before that?
Right.
And then why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
And then where are we going? Because nobody can really answer with certainty where we're going except Allah,
Right.
our creator. So that really changed everything. And I when the Deen hits you like that, you want to tell everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I cut people off, but certain people I was like, yo, look, this Islam, like, you need to get on this. And like, it's a terrible way to do dawah.
Right.
Like, you can't force Islam on somebody. You have to like, I think the best way to do it, if you don't have knowledge, which I didn't have, I don't think really anybody has crazy knowledge, is your character, like how you carry yourself. People see you praying, they see you going to make wudu, they see you not cursing. That's dawah. I mean, you can also give knowledge. It's good. I think Allah says, like, even if it's, I don't know if it's a hadith, or I don't want to misquote it, but it's like, even if it's one ayah, relay that verse to somebody. But yeah, I noticed that I was like not giving dawah the best way, so I had to work on myself. And then just, there's ups and downs in faith. So you'll get this high of like, oh, like, I'm on top, like I'm praying 5 times a day, and then
Other days.
something happens and you fall.
Right.
But I'm making a video on this too. You just have to like keep getting up every time. Like, what? I guess I have a question for you. Is like, what advice would you give people who keep like falling off?
Honestly, I'm still trying to answer that for myself. Like, I don't have all the answers, but
Nobody does it.
I'd say what works for me. I love writing down what do I want every day. Or like, I just think about it, and I compartmentalize my life into 4 areas. That's health, and health includes like physical health, mental, emotional health, spiritual health, relationship with family, friends, community, business. So your drive, the thing that's going to pay you, but the thing you also love to do, education, because you're always learning, and then finance, which kind of goes with business, but really finance, just like making sure that you set things up so that your people are good and you're good. So I just like to, I like to go back to those things. Anything that helps me build, right? I try to do behaviors that only help me build. I try to cut out the behaviors that just kind of drain me and there's no ROI, you know. My major over at NC State, I do go to NC State. I major in industrial and systems engineering. So that's something I've really gotten into, and people don't really know what it is when they hear it. But, To give you an example,
break it down for the layman.
yeah, so industrial engineering, you engineer industry. So you think about Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Henry Ford. Was it Tom Ford or Henry Ford who made the?
The car.
Yeah. Okay, I think it was Henry Ford. Yeah, all those people were industrial engineers. So they used, they used human labor, they used technology, they used resources, they use statistical data. They use all of these tools at their disposal to create a system in which it outputs more than it inputs, and that is called an industry, right? So by learning industrial engineering, I've learned how to optimize processes. I've learned how to lead and manage things efficiently. I learned how to cut out waste. I learned how to just do things in a way that makes my life an industry, right? And that knowledge can be applied to anything, any business, can be applied to my health. If you can create a system and maintain it in any area, that is success. So I'm really thankful for that.
You read a lot of books, or?
Read a lot of books, not as much as I should. I do read a lot, like on my phone. Like I read articles, or I'll like watch podcasts or listen to podcasts. I wouldn't really call that a book. I mean, I listen to audiobooks sometimes. But as far as reading from a paper, not as much.
Favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time? I have to think about that one.
A recent movie like you really liked?
I do love all the Spider-Man movies. Yeah,
Toby or?
big Toby fan, but like any Spider-Man movie, like I've always just felt like a G watching him. Like he made me feel like
I feel like you're Spider-Man.
yeah, like a building could be crashing on my back. I'd just be on the floor and I just pick it up and I just throw it and I just, you know what I mean, get back up at the end of the day, bro. I feel like that's his superpower. Like you could say it's his spider powers. I feel like his superpower, he always figure out how to win in the end.
Yeah, it's a very relatable story. Like, also the Toby movies are just like very well made.
Iconic.
Yeah, and like his uncle dies. He's dealing with that. Guilt.
Right.
And then he's struggling with being Spider-Man, and then the girl. It's like it's a really cool story, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to it. And then the way he looks too, like he just looks like an average Joe.
Yeah.
So it's like people, yeah. But TV shows.
Big anime fan. I love Death Note. That's probably one of my favorite animes. I love
Naruto?
Yeah, I love Naruto. Grew up on that. What else?
Like Last Airbender.
Oh, of course. But there's a big debate that's like, is this anime? Because it wasn't produced by a Japanese. Okay, the animation style. Yeah, shoot. At that point, you could call Boondocks anime, which I love Boondocks, by the way. Yeah.
I never watched Boondocks.
You watch Boondocks, Shabani? Yeah, right. Right. If you know, you know. It's a black thing, bro. Yeah, I love that show.
Man.
Yeah, man.
Are you in like the content creator space? Like, do you watch people? Do you watch streamers and stuff?
So streamers, not so much, not like Twitch or anything. I follow mainly entrepreneurs. So I try to learn, because like if you learn how to be an entrepreneur, that won't just help you, with money or business. That'll help you with everything because you're always selling something. You're selling yourself every time you talk to someone, or if you're pursuing a woman, long term, you're selling yourself to her. Like you're trying.
I don't know about that.
No, not selling yourself to her, but selling like the idea of you. Like this is who I am. Like getting someone interested, right? If you think about like a salesperson on the phone, right? Most of the time they come on too strong and then you're turned off and you're like, nah, I'm not interested. Hang up. But that doesn't just apply to like a product. Like you are a product. Like the words you say, the behaviors you have. If you're pursuing something, you're pursuing a relationship with a woman, or you're pursuing, even like just a friendship, you have to set things up in a way where the other person, if you were a product, they would buy the product because they've seen how it adds value to them.
But would you have to sell yourself if like they can already see, okay, this guy provides value?
Right. You've already sold yourself at that point. Like that's kind of a funny way to put it, selling yourself. But it's true. Like, not to say like we're all products, but at the end of the day, your ability to persuade and be charismatic and your actions reflect your values, that is very attractive to a lot of people, whether it be a friend or a relationship. They want to have an interaction with someone who adds value to them. So in that way, you are selling your likeness, right?
Do you think people have gotten like too materialistic, like a man's value is just dependent on how much money he makes, or
I don't know. You're asking some really loaded questions, man. Uh, in my opinion, I mean, I do think like the older generations, like my grandfather's generation or the generation before him, like they had very simple goals, right?
yeah,
Get a wife, start a family, get home, grow a business, feed my people. That's it. I'm good. I think that is the purpose of life, right? Just like as a man, provide for and care for the people you're responsible for. And, speaking for myself, and I'm sure a lot of men can relate, we're happiest when we're building something, when we're of service to others, right? When you do, it's crazy because like you do something for others and it makes you feel better than if you were to do something for yourself, right? So, with, more recent times, especially now, I feel like just everything is so, I feel like we're living in like end stage capitalism, right? Where,
times.
yeah, like everything is commoditized. Is that even a word? Commoditized, commodity. Everything's a commodity. Everything's, yeah, Google it. Check me real quick. But everything is commercialized. There's so much crack in everything, right? Like yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Like media, food, a lot of it is like brainwashing you. And now there's this new notion of like, oh, I'm a man and I don't need a woman, or I'm a woman, I don't need a man. And I feel like that's just like, it's not true.
It's like the male version of feminism.
Yeah, or just like if you want to call it that, but like at the end of the day, people just don't appreciate each other like they used to because like I feel like people get so used to going on their phones and seeing people post the best of themselves, and then they start comparing themselves, and like it's just very artificial. So to your point, do you think people are getting materialistic? I would say yes, but also it's more so just the social conditioning that's making us like that, and that's why you gotta just step out the matrix, man.
I was about to say the Matrix.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like that, right?
Um, but like when people like, cause this whole thing is going around like, oh, I'm depressed, like I have anxiety,
Right.
which okay, I get like there's people out there who have real depression, clinical, or they have trauma from real things that happen, sexual assault, they were in war,
Yeah,
they were in
right.
the war or something.
Trauma.
But people throw that term around loosely, but it's like they aren't really taking care of themselves, like mentally, physically, spiritually, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm depressed."
Right.
But like you caused that on yourself.
Right.
Like with the phone thing, like I noticed it today. Like I was sitting in front of the gym parking lot waiting for my friend, and first thing I do when I park, scroll,
Doom
scroll,
scrolling.
scroll.
Doom scrolling, the new term.
And then I'm like, yo, I can't sit still for like 1 second. Like,
Yeah.
like he's gonna be here in 5 minutes. Like I can't sit still. And then I was like, man, like I need to check. I think everybody needs to check themselves because, like, yeah, you're right. Like there's a bit of programming like in these apps, and
Yep.
so it's good to take breaks and just read some Quran and I don't know, sit outside.
I mean, I definitely agree. Like, just the sitting still part, especially, you know, it's hard. It's hard because, and actually, I want to give credit to a YouTuber I've been watching. His name is Hamza.
Yo,
you like Hamza?
I was
Shout out
watching
Hamza.
his discipline guide.
Yeah, no, 3 hour long video. I started it. I didn't finish it, but he talks about a lot of this stuff, right? So going back to the depression, anxiety, those are real things. I'm not saying they're not real things, but I also believe personally in the power of words. So if you repeat to yourself, you just parrot yourself and parrot everyone, right? I'm depressed. I'm anxious. I'm sad. I'm sad. Like what do you think your brain's gonna find ways to confirm that statement, right? So, I'm not talking about people who had extenuating circumstances or traumas, but you find even the people who went through the worst things, they come out of it and they're happy and they're fulfilled and they're thankful. So, I think the best thing to do is, like you said, self-care, like real self-care, not just like chasing pleasure, but like unplugging. Sometimes you just got to wake up, and it's hard. You got to wake up and just not digest anything, like not even like food, just like stimulus. Like we're so overstimulated and it's frying our dopamine receptors, right? That's something Hamza be talking about a lot. Like we are mad overstimulated. I definitely agree. Like if we weren't so stimulated, maybe if the first thing we did when we wake up was just drink water, walk outside in the sun, just sit outside, no phone, just kind of just like sit. Like I did read this passage the other day. It was about Isaac Newton. This man discovered the theorem of gravity and the acceleration constant. sitting under a tree. Like everyone loves to talk about the apple that fell on his head, but like, was that apple special? No. That man was just so like he was comfortable with being empty-minded and just thinking about nothing and doing nothing.
Yeah.
And like that is where million-dollar ideas are born, in that absence of stimulus, because then you have the executive power in your brain to make it happen.
You notice how like some of your best thoughts come when you're driving or in the shower?
Yes. Or like
You're
even
not doing anything.
even when I'm like trying to go to sleep at night, it'd be like 1 a.m. and I'm like, oh my God, I just had $1 million idea. You feel me? Like
Write it down.
I write it down and I'm just like, where was this all day? Well, there was no way for it to happen all day because I wasn't sitting still.
Yeah. Do you think it's good to like we talked about, like, okay, have like-minded brothers around you, so you can be who you're around, but do you think it's good to like spend some time, learn to be alone, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely some value in that. And, the period that personally, I experienced a lot of growth was when I was alone, was when I pulled myself out of old environments. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do my thing. I'm going to go to class, hit the library, do my thing, take care of myself, eat some food, take a shower, brush my teeth at night, do some sit ups, push ups, whatever it is. And just do that for like 2, 3 weeks. And like, that is what helped me get through a lot of bad habits, like just throw them away. Like, I'm a big fan of cold turkey.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that gradual get off of it. Oh, maybe tomorrow, like whatever it is, you could insert your advice here. But the more you allow yourself to partake in the behavior, the deeper your brain is going to reinforce that synapse for you to do it. There is no weaning off, whatever it is, I just cut it off. And it's hard. Like that first week, 2, 3 weeks, whatever the bad habit is, your brain is wired to do it because you've set dopamine at the end of this tunnel.
Yeah.
So you have to stop it and then just fill it in with something else. For me, it was walking, breathing fresh air, listening to music, listening to podcasts, doing my prayers on time, whatever it is. Just that will get you out of that zone.
Yeah. I was dealing with it. I talked about this with one of my friends on podcast, but I was dealing with an addiction, and I said to him like, I'm dealing with this addiction, and then he's like, hold up, stop talking about it. He's like, you are what you think about. So
Right.
if you're not an addict, you're not an addict. Like,
Right. I feel like Andrew Tate got a lot of attack for him saying like I can't be depressed because the depression isn't real, and like not to say like I'm red pill or like I watch any particular influencer, but like to that note, to that comment, I think he's right. Like the more you say I am this, you are that.
Yeah.
So if you tell yourself I'm loved, I'm deserving of love, my creator loves me, my creator might have put me through this bad thing, but something good's gonna come out of it. Like I actually believe it. Like I know it's true. It is true. And then you just start to see it. You just start to have like faith isn't just like something that you just throw yourself out there and have faith. It's like it's a reality. So if my faith led me to take the good out of this situation and grow into a better person, then isn't that proof that God is real? Isn't that proof? Because something tangible came out of it.
Yeah. There's it reminds me of the lecture from Imam John,
Yeah.
and were you there that night? I think you were, maybe. It was about this Surah Al-Baqarah. It was about the struggle.
I might not have been, but
Yeah, I don't. Man, I don't remember the verse. I kind of hate myself right now. But it was a really powerful verse about like I think it was about Allah helping, the people who are struggling and telling them there is like hope.
Right.
There's I might be butchering it, but it reminded me of like also this clip from Andrew Tate, Patrick Bet David podcast. And I'm not an Andrew Tate fanboy. I talked about this before. I like what the guy says. Like 90% I agree with. There's like some things I don't like about his character. Like, he's kind of needs to humble himself a little bit. And but nobody's perfect. But but he did say in the Patrick Bet David podcast that it's gonna be hard for men to stand out because everything is so easy.
Mm-hmm.
So for men to stand out, you're gonna have to put yourself through immense struggle. And I agree with that because you
Yep.
know, without struggle, without, because you think about like our ancestors, our grandparents,
Right.
what they went through, like, you know, no phone, nothing, like, you know, starting a business from scratch. You know, some people's families moved here with nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and then, you know, we're living like this life where, you know, you can just DoorDash food and
Yeah.
and it's
Right.
like yeah, and it's we're really spoiled. So I think like for a man has to go through that. He has to like, okay, move out your city, or, you know, start a business, or put yourself through the gym,
Mm-hmm.
or just go through life, meet people,
Yep.
and you know, work a job, and you'll see like it's not easy.
Right.
Um, so yeah, what do you think about that? Like going through the struggle.
No, I completely agree. Like everybody, every man, at least, you know, I'm speaking from experience because I am a man. Every man needs something to conquer, right? So like people who go to the gym will tell you, no pain, no gain. You will not grow your muscle unless you work out at least 3 to 5 times a week and you tear muscle and you progressively overload. You have to be uncomfortable to grow. So that applies to physical, it also applies to mental, right? I'm not gonna pass that test next week if I don't go to the library and make myself uncomfortable by thinking and writing and solving and failing a million times this problem, right? The statistics problem, right? Because my major is heavy on statistics. Uh, Same thing for mental. Same thing for spiritual. Like people will say, "Oh, well, if God is real, then why do bad things happen to people? And why do like that is the pain. That is the workout for your spirit. If your spirit can endure this moment, you're gonna be a beast after it."
Also, how would you know what good is without evil?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just like, I feel like the same thing applies to business as well. You know, most businesses don't make it past their second year because people fail and fail and fail and you quit. And it's hard, man. It's not easy, but it's like if you do what you love and you try to remember, okay, why am I an artist? Well, I like to use my voice to inspire people. I might not be getting 100 million views right now, but at the end of the day, I love to do this. And it's gotten to a point where, you know, I can self-finance what I'm doing. So at that point, I've won. It costs me nothing to create my art. And if I get anything from that, it's a plus. You know, so men need struggle, men need problems, men need to cry, bro. Men need to feel like defeated and be like, I can't believe like this happened to me. Cause guess what? That brings out that dog in you, bro. Like you think about war, every war that's ever fought, you know, these people are facing doom. Some of them are facing imminent doom. But how do you think they find it in themselves to just trudge out into the battlefield anyways? It's because they have a purpose. They have like something they want to conquer. So, you know, like you said, people, DoorDash is right there. You know, there's easy everything, easy pleasure from food. You know, there's like artificial sex in the form of all this like half naked women and fully naked women on social media. Like everything that feels good is a click of a button away. But it's like once you partake in that, you're sacrificing your long-term happiness and success because you're not actually building anything. So I fully agree with that statement. Men need pain. Men need struggle.
I think there's a saying like in Islam that hell will be surrounded by the pleasures of this world, and heaven will be surrounded by the pain.
Right.
So like, try to remind myself that. But you know, it's a
Right.
test. It's a fitna.
Yeah. And you know, even when the angels asked God, they were like, "Look at this beautiful place." They're talking about heaven. They're like, "Everyone's gonna go here," and then God put pain around it and struggle, and they're like, "Oh, my Lord, no one will make it here." And then they look at hell and they're like, "This is a terrible place. No one would ever want to go here." And then God put pleasure and desire and lust and like greed around it, and they're like, "Oh, my Lord, everyone's gonna go here. You know, may we be saved from that."
And I want to show. I'm gonna show you guys. Like I'm gonna show you my video I'm working on called Temptations.
Yep.
You'll really enjoy it. It's like only 6 minutes, but like I might need some advice too on
Yeah.
the editing.
You got
but
it.
but yeah, man. Any closing remarks?
Yeah, so in closing, I want to thank you, Harry man, you know, for inviting me out here. This has been a great conversation that gave me life. I'm sure it gave you life as well. Shout out Shibani. He supplied the sound, you know. We didn't have this lavalier.
Come here.
Yeah, come say what's up, bro. Give a peace sign. Talk about yourself.
I was
Shout out
staying quiet.
Shabani, bro. Number one.
Yes,
I was
sir.
trying to stay quiet this whole time.
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
podcast coming soon, bro.
Yeah, man. And Intuition drops August 11th. It is this Friday from recording, but by the time this is up, it'll be out. Go heal yourself, man. Shmoney Mo out. Thanks, Harry, man.
Yeah, thank you for coming, bro.
My man.
Alright, let's see the audio.
Woo!
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, man.
Mad introspective, bro.
That was fire.